All right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging and Friends. We are back tonight. We're playing more Otherscape, or we might continue our pre-stream conversation about educational and health insurance reform. Should we do that instead? Is everyone excited?
Yeah, let's turn this.
No, I will.
We should. I have plenty of things I would like to do to the educational. But hey, that's just me.
There's no lack of opinions. Okay. However, that's not what people came to us for.
I just want to get people canceled. It's really what happened. If I get people canceled, I don't have to prep anymore. So it's really that easy.
There you go.
It just really works out though. It's probably a simpler way to do that, but
other options. Other options.
Yeah. So as you can see, we have no Joe. So I figure we should just talk shit about him for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And then play.
He just turned 21.
What a baby. Yeah.
What a baby indeed.
Most people think that's a beard that he has on his face, but it's not. He just smothers his face with dog shit before he gets on stream. So it's a little known fact.
I wasn't know that sentence was going to end.
Anyone else with interesting facts or things about Joe that we want to share?
You better, Joe. We love you.
No, I mean, definitely feel better.
Feel better, for sure. For sure, feel better.
Definitely feel better. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess just me then. That's fine. It's okay. Oh, we were guessing the ending here.
I heard one time he threw a baby at a puppy.
That sounds like Joe. That's very
that
on Joe.
Yeah. I've got something that he's actually said on stream. He doesn't trust people that can't move their legs.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I know.
I'm assuming.
Just keep saying wow a couple times.
There's a lot of context. Mainly, someone was pretending to be asleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
my main memory
of
is
that context. He kind of sounds like an asshole.
It kind of the great thing is he repeated it again for my tray one time.
Oh goodness!
For anyone who doesn't understand the joke, I use a wheelchair full time, so that's why it's additionally funny.
Yeah, it's even funnier is that you
Chuck
are
went straight on that.
What's that?
I was just saying, Chuck went straight on the. I'm not going to give context. I'm just going to say the thing.
Yeah,
that was my plan. That's how you say all the good things. Just leave out context.
Candleman, exactly.
Candleman.
Anything else? What other shit talking we do about Joe? What else?
He's real short.
Yeah. It's
also not true.
He looks it on the stream. There's no way I can ever frame him where he doesn't look like he's sitting 37 feet away from his computer. Like it's really frustrating. I don't know if you have to deal with this like over on your day streams, but
however Joe presents himself, that's how he goes.
Man, trying to get like even head distribution is so difficult. So I'm just saying.
I think Joe and Jeremy are in the like full foot taller than me camp, and Chuck too. Yeah. I think there's a whole crew of DOKers that are full foot ahead of me.
A lot of us grew up just assuming 6'4" was advertised.
Like over 6 feet.
What's that?
Aren't all the guys here over 6 feet?
No,
barely, but yes.
Yeah.
I'm part of that category.
Everybody was.
I'm 5'9".
Oh, cool! I'm like 5'8". We're almost twins.
Did you hear her voice? Oh, cool. Did you hear that?
Cute little man.
Heard that?
You are a cute little man, Adam.
5'8" is average.
Wow. Okay. Well, anything else? Any other?
No,
news?
I think we're good.
Okay. Doesn't trust people with whose legs don't move. Put shit on his face before stream. Throws babies at puppies.
Mm-hmm.
He's really short, apparently. Yeah, or it's too tall. I don't know. There's a little bit of both. Whatever. We ready to start? Ready to play? You gonna play with that?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Last session. So we're out in the Badlands, our post-apocalyptic district, where an environmental disaster many years ago has basically left it as this wasteland filled with random fungus creatures and people and spore storms and stuff like that. So you're out here because you're trying to track down Mallory's old friend Lucky, who sent Mallory an SOS, a distress call, to try to come get him out of a Demeter Corp ruin. Demeter Corp is considered probably responsible for the big environmental disaster that has happened. They're an agricultural corp. They still exist, but they're not as powerful as they used to be. So last session, after you all had discovered in the middle of the Badlands a completely weird town called Greendale that just seems like something out of the 50s, you finally took advantage of their hospitality, and you got some rest. You healed up a bit. A couple of you had some odd dreams, where like there was a voice that was speaking to you, something about a subroutine. Rika, you spent some time learning about Grainfather theology. Ivan and Vrana, you performed some daily rituals. I think Vrana, you even like sensed some different spirits and things out in the fields or out in the earth. Mallory and Agaricus, you were stargazing out in the cornfields. Clover spied on you for a little bit in his frog form and also put some work into fixing the van. Next morning, we had a couple different scenes. Rana and Ivan, you spoke with Miriam, and you learned a little bit more about the Demeter Corp ruin. Apparently, people come through here all the time and saying they're going to delve into these ruins and then disappear, and they don't really see them again ever. It doesn't really seem like to be a thing that happens. And then Rika, you met with Sable Rust, who is a former marauder who you know are not great people. But she traded you some crude schematics of the facility in exchange for like a finder's fee if you do come back with anything. Brother Lysander invited Agaricus and Mallory to meet with the Grainfather directly, and so led you into the silo. There was that big silo with the little lights on top of it that you all saw. And then Lysander also, because he got some sort of message, they got kind of paused and seemed to know that Clover was on your shoulder in frog form, and then Clover hopped away at that point. Inside the silo, which was extremely highly advanced and very highly protected, all sorts of different computer systems, monitors, all these weird montage of images and things like that. Eventually, those images shifted into this yellow face, this almost featureless, formless face that greeted both of you, knew your names, and this, it seems, is Grainfather. And welcomed the two of you and invited you to basically join his cause. Is kind of where we left it, and that's that. So we're going to pick up pretty much like right in the I don't know, no reason not to just pick up in the immediate aftermath of that. So Agaricus, Mallory, I'm going to start with the two of you. You're in here. This entity, whatever it is, just invited you all effectively to join the cause. Lysander had pulled up a chair for Agaricus to start showing him how to use some of these systems and interpret some of these dreams. Because remember, that's kind of something that people were saying Brother Lysander did. Anything you guys are doing, asking, thinking in this situation?
So yes. I don't really know, like, what is the cause?
And so at this point, like, you can see Grainfather has faded away and there's the images back, and now it's Lysander who's sort of talking. And he says, there's a couple things that the main goal, obviously, is the rejuvenation of the Badlands. And for years now, it's been this derelict, dried up, fungal, strewn mess. And all of it is because of Demeter Corp. It is the belief of Grainfather and those of us here that Demeter Corp were experimenting with something far beyond their understanding. This wasn't just a case of some simple experiment gone awry. This was a case of them tapping into something of the mythos. And in doing so, they created an apocalyptic event that stretched across the Badlands, destroying almost everything in an instant, killing thousands and thousands of people, and destroying hundreds of cities and towns and buildings and research sites. So our goal is to dig deep beneath the earth of the Badlands, because we believe that underneath there, the root of Jormungandr, which is the entity, the source of power that Demeter Corp tried to harness, is there, and is, if we could just get it to understand that we want something different, then we don't want to hurt it, we don't want to harm it, we want it to understand that we can We can make this world a better place. But whatever Demeter Corp did to it, the trauma has remained, and it continues to eat away at this land and until all of us are incapable of staying here.
All right, so what, you want us to go and smooth things over, be like, hey, these people are all right?
You have come here, I believe, to delve into the Demeter Corp ruins. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, we believe that those ruins to the east, that their primary experimental laboratory is at the base. There is no accident that we have sprung Greendale up in this location. Greenfather has, for all this time, been using this as a base of operations, trying to push further and deeper into that place, but it is a woefully terrifying place with all manner of dangers constantly shaping, forming every day. We try to warn people like yourselves from delving into it, because any who go in do not come out, or if they do, they are not the same as they once were. They are a terrible, mutated version of themselves. But we need to get into the God Lab, is what they called it. And we need to figure out exactly what they did to the root and try to appease it somehow.
Well, how about now? I'm free right now.
I would agree. I would rather not wait any longer than necessary. Does the grandfather have any affiliation with was it Drew Maganda?
Jormungandr, yes.
Jormungandr.
And you can see him sort of hesitate. Affiliation. No, not in any way that would... not in any way that would be appropriate to that term. Grandfather is, of course, aware of it. And you can tell, no role necessary, like he's definitely not revealing everything. Like there's, like you can tell he's hesitant to share something.
Not really sure what the best questions are to ask. We want to have full faith in us. I'll put my faith in you that if you feel there's anything additional that might help us in any way, please let us know. Because I can speak for myself fully. I am glad to put myself 100% on the line to do this.
See,
I'm here for my friend Lucky who went in there. Other than that, I try and do what's right. If you turn on me, though, there ain't no going back. Got that?
Your threat is heard loud.
It's not a threat. Like,
in point
if you ain't gonna do
fact.
nothing, then not a problem. Okay, dude?
You have a most mesmerizing mind, Mr. Mallory.
Thanks. Yeah. Cool.
Agaricus, you are a prodigal son, which means that you, unlike the others, well, you have a piece of Grandfather inside of you. Which means that you can carry a part of him into the ruins in a way that others cannot. If you are truly willing, and this is only something that you would do if you are, and I would not ask if you otherwise, there is a procedure that we could undertake to ensure that a portion of Grandfather's will and experiences, a subroutine, if you would allow, can be planted within you.
And doing this would help or make it more likely for us to be able to help the people here.
If you find your way into the lower depths of the ruins, you can interface with some of there's a mycelial reactor. You could interface with it, and in doing so, allow Grainfather greater control and access to the facility, which therefore would allow him to cleanse it of all of the dangerous inhabitants.
Hey, you got a backup of Grainfather? Like maybe make a snapshot of it before we send him on over into Agaricus?
I'm afraid that you do not have... I feel like his voice changed. It's supposed to be Southern. I'm afraid that it is unlikely that you have anything in your capacity that has sufficient storage for the enormity.
Nah, you need to have that storage. I don't have anything like that. But I just figure, like if you're putting that in Agaricus and we're going in there, I may, if something bad happens to us.
Well,
I'm agreed to it, of course. Do we have anywhere that doing these cleansing subroutines might create further confrontational attitude with this Jormungandr?
We are just attempting to find our way through the darkness here, Agaricus. I keep losing the freaking voice. What's going on?
That's okay. It's a very serious affair. I understand. You're just trying to give me the weight of it, and I'm letting you know I agree wholeheartedly, because if it will help people, it's clearly what should be done.
Well, excellent then. Would you mind if we begun your innervation now?
Soon is better than later.
And so he hits a couple buttons on the board that he's on, and you see like this receptacle pop up on the console in front of you. Please just go ahead and just stick your arm right in there until you feel a handle at the far and the deepest recesses. Just hold on to that. And then you see him type a few things, and all of a sudden you just feel this like flood. All those images that you just saw up on the screens are basically just like flooding directly into your brain at this point, and you just feel yourself kind of becoming sort of overloaded to the point. Give yourself the tag, innervate it.
Okay.
So
what
we're to phase in there
happened?
Because that's going to take a little time. And we'll check in with Verana and Ivan and Rika, who last we saw, you were in the diner and various conversations. So are the three of you looking to do anything else in particular this morning here in Greendale?
I had just one additional question for Sable before we end that conversation.
Okay.
Wanted to know if what the security system was like in there, because Crawford had said that some buildings have like rogue AIs that kind of have a mind of their own at this point, or like so
Darn place has got like a mind of its own, like the different subsections and such. We brought ourselves a hacker once. Well, we don't have that hacker no more. They were messing around in some of the systems trying to open up this lab or that lab, and all of a sudden my brain popped like a pimple. There's some sort of consciousness floating around inside there. And I don't know if there's more than one or two. And that's just the ones that's inside the system. Nothing there works properly. Turrets malfunctioning, on, off, you never know. Can't tell if it's motion sensor, can't tell if you're friend or foe. Then you got other things in there. Some of their test subjects, if you want to call them that. They roam around. Sometimes they get loose and wander out onto the plains. Most of the time they stay confined. feed off each other and that sort of thing.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Uh-huh. You owe me that finder's fee. Whatever you get.
Forget.
47%.
That what we agreed to?
You don't remember. That's what we agreed to.
I was being facetious. That's not what we agreed to.
That's what I remember.
Oh, I think you're missing a decimal point there. It's 4.7%.
No one would do anything for a 4.7% finder's fee. That's absolutely ridiculous.
All right, for 47%. If Lucky's alive, less than that.
Whoa, I don't even know who Lucky is. I don't care. No conditional stuff. Okay. Ivan and Verona, you had been talking to Miriam. Was there anything more that you were looking to do? Was there... I don't know.
I don't have anything.
Not with Miriam, I don't think. I think we probably would want to go back to the van, make sure that we're working with Simon, to make sure that the van is repaired and see about, kind of loading up anything that we might find useful to bring with us.
Okay.
On this little excursion out east. Ivan, if that's okay with you, that would be kind of my pick up the van, load up the van.
Do you want to do a roll here? Just like a track outcome, see if you can get not just like repairing it, but maybe souping it up a little bit or something, reinforcing some panels or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, so I've got Bringer of Retribution, which I think makes me very aware of like any wrong that's done to me or the group. And so like I'm acutely aware of all of the different ways that the van sort of got damaged. And so that's how I'm going to flavor that of like.
That's a very creative application of Bringer of Retribution. Bringer of Retribution. I bring retribution by repairing the van. Here we go. I'm going to retribute me some van parts. Sure, go ahead. It's fine.
Trying to think if there's anything else.
Can I support on this at all? Like, is that
I
always forget about that. I have my cyberware repair kit. That's fine. Part of my loadout.
Yeah, if you're just there, we'll just do the simple assisting, which is just giving her like tapping into a tag and just giving her that power, so you get an extra power.
How many people can assist?
You guys are all there. You're welcome to do it too.
Yeah, I will be assisting with 2 things, although it's fine. It only gives 1 for me assisting. Evade surveillance, making sure that these panels she's slapping on there don't stick out like a sore thumb or reflect light in weird ways.
Okay.
And then also pyromancy, because you're going to have to weld that stuff.
Nice.
In.
That makes perfect sense. All right, Rana, make a roll with a +2 power from your crew, and then whatever it is, whatever else you're adding.
Okay, yeah, I've got Bringer of Retribution. I was thinking, in order to kind of get this work done, I have my undead servitors that I command, that I can like get extra sets of hands as we're doing this work.
Okay, so you're just going to raise a couple dead people to fix your car.
That's the best use.
Work. That's the best use of your raise the dead spell that you've ever done in this campaign. Love it. like you probably just raise like a dead auto mechanic, just happens to be dead here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you all were helping me, because I rolled a 1 and a 2. And because you all were helping me, I actually got to a 7. So teamwork makes the dream work on that for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so
and also thank you, Tabletop Misfits, for the raid. Welcome in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that raid. We are using dead people to soup up a van, something like that. Okay, how much power did you end up with? 4.
4, yeah. So 2 from
you
support
can create,
and then 2 from me.
Yeah, so you could basically create 2 tags if you want.
2 tags.
Yeah. So
I like what Ivan was helping with. So to the extent that we are, in a cyberpunk / mythos place. So we've got something with the van that we've got some kind of difficult to detect thing going on with the van. So
yeah, that's fine. We don't got to come up with anything. Just put stealth, stealth panels.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay.
That works.
What else?
And then
and what's the other one?
I'm open to anyone's input on this, but something about like we can drop some damage or some spikes or something like we've got
countermeasures.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you.
That
is exactly the word that was not
stuff?
coming to brain.
Like create like hazardous terrain, like that's what you're thinking?
Yeah, like if something comes up, we now have things at our disposal. Countermeasures is exactly what I was trying to think of. And
just get some scrap metal. You can throw some stuff out behind you if you're getting chased or wwhatever it is. Absolutely. Okay, there is a consequence here though, as you do have a as you did roll 7. So I'm gonna say you're gonna have. I'm gonna say that your consequence is a one level status of a weak spot. So I'm just going to put weak spot 1. So there's something you missed as you 3 were working on this. It's not necessarily going to come into play all the time, but there's the potential for that weak spot to come back and haunt you at some point. So yeah, you did a great job.
We did not put armor on the tires. The tires are just still right there, waiting to be shot at.
Okay. and so we'll say in the time in which that you all were repairing this, Agaricus undergoes his procedure. And unless if there's nothing else, we can say all of you then meet back up we'll say Clover's with you. There's no reason to say Clover's not there. So all of you meet back up at the van. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
You can see there's a handful of people like Simon and Miri and Brother Lysander are there, kind of like sort of wishing you well and whatnot. But do you all do anything else before you leave Greendale, or are you ready to get going?
Because they gave us bread. The one lady gave us bread to take on the way, right?
Absolutely.
I have emergency Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
Emergency bread.
Yeah, we got bread. I'm good.
Definitely eat that.
Brother Lysander, it would be okay if a little bit stayed with you. It takes a little bit of focus. But he and I can share, like, he can know what I know and I can know what he knows. Perhaps if he stayed with you and something came up, we needed to ask you a question. His communication is a bit limited, but would you be willing to do that?
I would be honored, of course. I would be more than happy to keep an eye on a little bit for you. And it's a very handy tactic you have there communicating, though, because of your special procedure, you're now capable of communicating a little bit more directly with Grainfather as well. So he'll be able to monitor you exactly what you're doing. Don't be alarmed if you have any visions or flashes that come into your consciousness, that it's just the Grainfather attempting to communicate with you in a way that fits his mode of operating.
Okay. I assure you, I try to overthink things as little as possible.
Excellent. Well, that is the perfect prodigal son. We definitely don't want you thinking too hard. Okay, well, you all stay safe and, don't be heroes or nothing. Or be heroes. That's too, that
the
you can
biggest.
do both. One or the other. Yeah. That. Okay. And he's going to come over and he's going to give you a big hug, a Garricus, and he's going to pat you on the back. And he's going to say, "We'll see you when you return."
All right, then. A little bit,
Okay.
you be good.
Yeah. Rock. Looks up at you, gives you a big thumbs up. And okay, you guys head off.
We
All
do, toward the east.
And I would very much like to, on the way, share details about the schematics and the concerns around security and everything. Basically, sharing everything that Sable shared with me, specifically that we're going to have to go into the lowest levels, more than likely, for both the God Lab and more than likely that's where Lucky is in the cryo chambers. That's where the schematics and she's at the cryo chambers probably are.
All right. So we're looking for the cryo chambers.
Yeah. And she said that they tried to have a hacker, Mal, but things did not end well for that hacker. So
It's kind of standard fare for hackers, don't you think?
Yeah, but the way she talked about it made it sound like there was a fair bit of mythos involved. So I don't know if the grandfather can help with that at all, but it's just something to keep an ear out for.
Oh, well, I could keep an eye out for it.
Either way.
Like, eye out. I mean, it sounds like a silly question, but given,
In but open. I think. I think. Are you okay in your little trip that you and Mallory took?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was distracted. I was waiting till we were a little bit away. So I was having a little bit grow some flowers to give to Mira. I didn't really know how to say it, so I just figured it's easy to walk away awkwardly and then have him hand the flowers, and she'll know. I'm sure that it's from me. And I'm fine. I'm fine.
That's sweet.
He had a significant download.
Oh, is that a euphemism for something?
And is there
happened?
a second part of that story? Or?
Oh yeah. He is part of the grandfather. Part of the grandfather is him. Grandfather is just a whole bunch of servers and monitors.
Philosophically, you're a prodigal son?
No, I'm being not figuratively, literally. He had a big download.
I really don't know how it works.
Yeah, the grandfather is a big old computer. Well, server rack. But
I'm not big on tech so much, but was this a download or an upload?
Well, I don't know, but
it was downloaded to. He downloaded it. It was uploaded to him.
But somehow it's best compatible with
I see.
the plenty-based goodness. I don't know.
So you are going to be able to give even more assistance than you normally would when we get into...
That's what I'm hoping. Apparently there's something called Dramander? I don't know. It was a very weird word. Jeremy knows it, but I want to say it wrong as much as possible.
Sure.
Apparently Demeter, made some mythos thing very angry. But we need to try and ask it to pretty please, they were bad, but we're not all bad. So can you stop doing the whole blight sort of thing?
Yeah.
Corporations just don't know what they're messing with. They just think they can take shortcuts. These kinds of things take study and respect, and you don't just do them overnight.
Exactly. It's like they were so busy thinking about if they were able to, that they didn't think about if they
should.
Yes.
Is it Jormungandr, the thing that Simon was talking about when he froze?
I don't know. I figure what we do is...
This is a question to Ivan and Vrana, I'm sorry, because they saw him freeze.
He was talking about something when he froze.
The word sounds familiar.
Okay.
The root, yes, because it was the root of that caused some of the crumbling.
That sounds right.
It was thought. But then he froze. So, although you say the grandfather is all tech, so...
Maybe, but somehow also affiliated with Plant Life. Well, all I know is if it's there, and there's evidence of the power, and it's seeming to be acting in a benevolent way, it wants to help. I want to help.
They wanted us to beseech Jormungandr, so I figure we ought to go take a gander. Your
van explodes just like that.
I'm good with
You're all
that.
dead.
Yeah.
The end. It's all over. Okay. So I'm gonna say it's only about 2 miles away. So this conversation obviously could have happened. It's not that far away. Again, there's not like very clean and well kept roads because of the everything. Like in the sort of the confines of Greendale, things were well kept, but you all have noticed outside of it, things are just a mess, overrun, broken, etc. So once you get outside of the confines of Greendale, you're back to the chugging along, and your repairs to the van have made it so that you're really not feeling it as bad. But it's probably relatively quickly when you get to the base of this ridge. And so it's not so much like a mountain range. It's not that grandiose by any stretch, but you can definitely tell there's a rocky ridge that seems to expand, like this sort of red, like red-orange rock that just seems to sort of do like a north-south running ridge. And you can see that it has a sprawling series of structures that seem to, strangely enough, almost seem like the two are kind of intertwined. Like it was a teleportation mishap. Like something was trying to sort of land and then it got mixed together, because you can just see in the ridge there's these various pockets of like brutalist architecture just like sticking out in ways that don't really make a whole lot of sense. So it definitely has the feeling in some ways, looking at this place, that it looks like they're merged, or like they're one's overriding the other, or one's kind of pushing out from the other itself. There are a few spots where you can see these like a monolith coming up out of the ridge itself, and like you can see what almost looks like the remnants of some kind of corporate building or corporate tower overlooking it. And then along the actual ground that you've been driving on, you definitely see that there is this large rounded entry point that has what probably at one point was a very heavy duty set of like massive, almost castle-like doors, like in terms of how big they are. They've long since been kind of blown asunder. You also notice that there are warnings like that have been set up along the way, these handwritten warnings on signs saying many of the things that you've already heard before. So nothing really alarms you to any degree. And then it also looks like people have set up these kind of scrap pieces to serve almost as like cover, like for people shooting in or shooting out at them. And so you're kind of just driving past this. There's even some barbed wire here and there. And then you also notice that there's these strange growths. It just looks like they look like trees at a distance, but as you approach, you realize they just look like some mass of vegetation that's just sort of moist and sort of undulating in some cases, like almost like it's beating, and it's sticking up like the size of a tree itself. But you have reached the outskirts of the ruins themselves. Doesn't seem like anything's attacking you immediately. What would you guys like to do?
I'd like to look at these schematics that I got from Sable to see if there is any kind of like infection revenge after. Basically anything that takes us down a few levels without having to actually go through the facility to do that.
Okay, excellent. So what we're going to be doing, this is it's sort of similar to when you guys were like going across the bay in our first arc. So this is essentially like a threat, like descending through this is in and of itself a threat. And so each time, the deeper you go, different consequences can emerge. But like just like any other threat in Otherscape, it has a limit. Okay, and so and I'm just going to tell you outright, it's traverse or delve, however you want to put it. And so you're trying to hit a number. Okay, and so you're going to be rolling checks, and each of you is going to take a spotlight to lead or reinforce or whatever it might be as you try to descend down. Other threats could potentially emerge, depending obviously on how the rolls go. So what you would be doing, Rika, is you're going to be taking the spotlight to find a path in. And so this is like the first attempt at it.
Cool.
So you can put together a pool, and the schematics that you have will count. So that will be one tag that you can apply to your roll as you start trying to find sort of a side path in something that's not obvious or something that's easy, something that might the path of least resistance, at least to start.
Sorry, I clicked on something by accident.
That's okay.
I rolled. I didn't need to.
So-
Looking at my tag is the only thing that feels like it could work as a positive is worked on usual jobs. Because I would like to think maybe I worked as part of a janitor crew at some point, and so
Yep.
I know kind of what red jobs. Okay, so that's a +2.
Okay.
I'd like to invoke my underestimate threats weakness as well.
Okay. So you're rolling 2d6 plus 1 then.
Yeah.
I think that makes perfect sense. You're just going into an old ruin. You've been in gunfights. You've fought all sorts of things. This is gonna be nothing.
Does Source Hunting Privateers, which is our crew tag, does that come to play at all?
I mean, are you hunting a source or are you trying to do like a rescue gig?
I guess
know.
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
I would also say
hunting
like just in
patrolling
this
kind of, but
I would say, but in this particular role,
Yeah.
just trying to find access points, like maybe later, like
Yeah.
that could come up for sure. Like if you encounter some
Yeah.
sort of source creature, for sure. All right, so 2d6 plus 1.
Oh, we'll play helpful. I have dice out. 6.
6 total or 6 plus 1?
No, 6
Okay.
plus 1, 7.
Okay, so you did get the 7. Okay, so you get success with consequence though. Okay, you do find that the like almost paradoxically in some ways that possibly the safest and the easiest way in is by going up first and then kind of finding a pathway downwards. So you would know that there are all sorts of like reactor exhausts that come out of this ridge. You would be able to see it, and you would know that somewhere towards the upper portions of the compound, there are like a series of like executive offices and things like that. And you would be able to, if you could find, like up on the ridge, if you climbed up to the top of the ridge, you could probably find an exhaust that goes down into those executive offices. And that might be a less obvious way in than just bursting through the front door.
I'm gonna share that knowledge with everyone.
Okay. All right. There is a consequence to it, but I'm not going to tell you what that is yet. Okay.
Super secret consequence.
Those are the
Do you
best.
guys all is that the idea? You're gonna try to scale the ridge?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So no, I'm not gonna require a roll just to climb. That seems silly with what's gonna happen. So you make it up and you search around. It doesn't take too long, I'll say, because it's a consequence. I'll say your consequence is really just sort of time. Like there might be a clock on this, or there might be like if you're just looking around, it just takes a while for you to find an exhaust. But you're able to eventually find these huge vents that you can pretty easily, like kind of because of the long degradation, like just rip these vents off and kind of climb down. One thing you do notice though, as you're climbing the ridge, that the ridge does not it gives, like it's very cushy in many places, where you realize at a certain point, and I think Agaricus, this is probably something you would pick up on. I don't think this is rock, or if it is rock, it's like chemical structure has been altered somehow, and it is no longer this like rigid mass. And so you do all feel like you're walking almost in some cases on like a very sturdy mattress, not anything too cushy, like where you're like bouncing around, but you can feel the give as you're walking over top of it. Okay. So you climb down and you drop down into this extremely dark series of offices and hallways that look, as you shine your lights around, I'm sure you all have lights on your various systems and equipment and stuff, easy things. And it is definitely overrun In some cases, you can see streaks of like a fungal growth, almost like vines, like weaving down from seams and from vents and stuff here and there. You also notice on the ground that there are like bones. Like you can see there's bones. Some of them, like, you can't tell if they're people or if they're animals, but there's definitely series of bones in kind of all directions. The offices themselves are scattered, and at one point likely had a lot of like kind of very spacious and highly advanced kind of security systems that don't seem to be clearly in effect right now. But you also hear the sounds like of laughter. You just hear like just kind of like echoing down the halls, and you can't entirely tell from which direction that's coming from, but you can certainly hear it. And then sometimes you'll hear it from a different direction, and then from another direction, and then from a third direction, and like you know that you're not the only thing making noise in here. So I'm gonna throw it out. Who wants to take sort of like the next lead, as you've already I think you had 1 total power, Rika. So that essentially would give you traverse 1, but you have to go much higher than that to obviously get all the way down. But you got in, which is the most important thing. Anyone else? So in this situation, is anyone else? You hear some potential threats. You see some weird shit. Who wants to sort of take the lead next?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. And going to try and just like see if I can sense where Lucky went at all. I know it's been a while, but like if he got in any trouble, like if any of his blood's on the ground, that sort of thing. Because I've been around him a lot in the past. So I'd like to think I would know, like, if any of it's on the ground, like if it was his or not.
Okay. So you're just trying to essentially get a sense of
where he is.
You're where
like
the
direction.
You know,
If he's passed through this way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to set it up so that if the roll goes one way or the other, I can still give you something. So if your question is going to be binary, which way did Lucky go? Like the question you're asking might not actually have that answer. It could be something else. So instead, like, 'cause there's no, like, if you're looking at the ground, yeah, there's bodies and blood and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's Lucky's. So,
right. I think I'm trying to, then in that case, I'm trying to figure out more of like things that have happened and where things are. So like if I can kind of see just like, you know, like notice, sense all like the blood spatters, like if there's any trails of blood leading anywhere, if these things that are making noise are alive, because they could be speakers or something. So, yeah.
I like that. So yeah, now you're just sort of doing a general assessment of like blood and see, like reading the blood in the area and seeing what that can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. It's a little more open-ended, and we can kind of work with that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate for me to assist with this with my sense life force? So we're kind of doing that together.
Okay.
So
do you want
I
to
could add,
do a setup action? You can do a setup action, and that might give him even more power on this, as opposed to just doing the one. So if you want to do like a roll to try to set him up a bit, you can do that instead.
Yeah, I was thinking my Forbidden Cult and Sense Life Force would be kind of what I would be using.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Wow, the dice don't like me today. I rolled a 5.
Okay.
Oh.
So as you reach out to try to sense life force, as you're trying to like listen for the directions of the laughter, as you're trying to figure out maybe are there other things, whatever these bones are there any living versions of these elsewhere? As you're trying to do all those types of things, something, you know it's something like a presence suddenly severs your connection, and you can go ahead and burn sense life force as you whatever it is, whatever some other entity or some other thing in here, something that has an understanding of life magic, right? has somehow shut you off from that, and you feel this immense bit of feedback just throw you back a bit. You kind of slam against the wall, and so that's burned for a bit.
And it definitely, Verona, kind of like puts a hand on Mallory's shoulder. I can help with this. I can help with this. And then, kind of as that was just described, you kind of see her kind of thrown backward and kind of shakes her head. I've lost the connection. And she just sort of bows her head.
That's weird. Like,
Okay.
I don't know how to take that.
Mallory,
shit,
you do
sorry.
hear the laughter kind of getting louder. You're not sure if it's getting closer, but it's certainly getting louder.
Mhm.
But you don't see the source of it anywhere. Like you all kind of dip into one of these like grimy, overrun offices. You like wait, thinking maybe something's going to pass, but it never does. But then you hear the laughter like pop up on the other side of the hall somewhere. So it's really hard to deduce it. But it hasn't, whatever it is, it hasn't like thrown itself upon you just yet.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm taking elemental body and absorb blood. Not absorb blood, detect blood. And so, yeah, I don't know if I want to absorb this old stuff that's sitting here. Yeah, anything else I need to take into account?
No, that sounds good.
And this is tracked.
This is tracked, yeah. If you want to affect the traversing of this, it has to be tracked because you have to spend the power to create statuses.
Got an 8.
Okay, so
Nice.
you rolled an 8. You have 2 power. So there's another successful consequence. So, do you want to spend that power to sort of contribute to the traversing? Like this is giving you an idea forward, or did you want to do something more with it? The only way you're going to get to the bottom, I sometimes I think you guys, like, I don't do a good job of explaining like how limits and stuff work. But your guys' ultimate goal is to get to the cryo labs, right? The only way you're getting to the cryo labs is if you complete the limit of traversing this facility. Like, that's the only way. Any other things you guys are going to do until you do that doesn't matter. So the only way you actually traverse it is by spending power on your rolls, on your successful rolls, to actually start moving that limit along, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like a delve in heart.
A little bit, yeah. Except like with a delve, it was just like accumulating totals, and you just like added one upon the other. With this, it's more of a track. So Reich has already got Traverse 1, so you could spend 1 of your power to also get Traverse 1, which would then pump up to Traverse 2. So you're closer then. And then you still would have 1 power if you wanted to create some kind of status effect for yourself as well.
Yeah. So I'd like to spend 1 on Traverse 1 to make it Traverse 2. But I would also like to give like myself or like an extra ability to sense if something alive is coming towards us. Because I was using detect blood. So like if it has blood, like if there's any sort of like status we can give me or ourselves, that would help us in those sorts of encounters, in those sorts of situations.
We can just make shit up. Like there's like blood alert 1. Just give yourself that, so that like if that pops up at any point. Yeah. The consequence, though, is you start to sense out, and you start to try to get a sense for it. First of all, you do sense blood. Nothing immediate other than your fellow crew around you. Like, you don't sense like anything that seems fresh, like nothing's been freshly drawn. But you do sense blood, and you sense it in many places, especially up here on the executive level. There's nothing that gives you the whiff of lucky necessarily. That could just mean he found a different way in, maybe didn't have the schematics. You don't necessarily know yet. But you do get the very real sense that this maniacal laughter is in fact coming from something living. And as you start to follow the less threatening path, you hear the sounds of up in front of you. And you see at like this elevator lift that Rika, you know the plans, like that lift would help you kind of go down a couple levels possibly if it's still functional, or at the very least you could climb down it. You can see what looks like a hyena that is standing on two legs, and it's these sort of thin legs that are kind of keeping it upright. It's got this strange posture and this sort of hyena-like face in this almost humanoid way. It's not quite like a were hyena. That's not exactly what I mean. It looks like it's a tall hyena trying to stand like a human. And you can see there's all these like growths on it. They don't look like pustules, but instead they look agaricus in some ways like fungal growths. And it's just like as it's just standing there right in front of this elevator, and you can see it. And then it looks off in your direction, like it senses that you're there. When you shine the light down the hall, like you can see its face, its eyes don't reflect back. It's just kind of covered in this fungal growth, but you can tell that it's sniffed and it's sensed you, and it's beginning to kind of lurch in your direction, moving quicker and quicker and quicker. Who would like to take the next spotlight here?
Okay.
If nobody asking, I will start firing. But I feel like we have a good amount of destructive.
You guys are pretty good at destroying things. So
Maybe before we start the gunfire, if it's okay, I think I would try to step in. I think before it gets too close to us, I would kind of like have some vines kind of creep along the floor and kind of get up along a wall somewhere near it, and have them do the growth of some like flowers that kind of emit some spores near it.
Okay.
And then I'm basically going to also do, because I don't think talking to it's going to do very well, I want to basically try and do the psychic blaster. Basically, the thing he's done before, he tends to try and tell things to chill out, is a combination of like getting the vines up next to it, have it sprout out the spores, and trying to like psychically get it to try and calm down.
Absolutely. Put your pull together.
Just
give it a
chill.
roll.
Yeah.
There is going to be one status that'll work against you in this situation that it has in terms of its protection, but otherwise you're good. So you do have a -1 from it.
Okay. And now
do it as a tracked.
Tracked attack, basically.
You could do that. Yeah, tracked attack's fine.
Well, I clicked it, but it's being funky. Come on.
There it goes. Okay. Looks like an
Lots
8.
of ones.
Yeah. Nice.
No, you're
So
good.
many ones.
You got an 8.
You got an 8.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a success with a small consequence. So you have looks like 3 total power to play with. What do you want to do with that power?
I'd probably apply it towards the delve, so to speak. Like maybe just, it's not so much that we get this thing to help us, but just maybe it's enough to like get it to go into a stasis of some sort, or just something to where like we at least kind of like boggle whatever it's.
Okay.
Like a distracted status or something?
Yeah. You could give it, like, I would say you could spend 2 of the power to, like, 2 of your power to create a tag that it's just essentially distracted, or it's just like overwhelmed maybe by the sense that you gave it. And then you still have 1 power to put towards the delve, which will...
Sounds good.
Because of the way the track works, it'll move all the way up to traverse 3. So that's probably the most effective way to do it. Okay, so in this case, you can see this thing suddenly stops in the middle of the hall right next to where Agaricus has grown these like flowers, and all the spore stuff is in the air, and it's just like... it's like reaching out with these almost human-like hands. And I do mean that. They don't have like claws or anything on them. Just kind of reaching out here and there and like grabbing some and then licking it. And then other times just like this long tongue just kind of unfurls from its mouth, and it just shoots it out in some places. and it seems very like overwhelmed by this spore cloud that you've thrown out there, Agaricus, to the point where it doesn't seem to be particularly interested in you. You do hear the sounds of like cackling and maniacal laughter elsewhere, but it seems to be somewhat distant. This one certainly seems distracted enough that you all could slip by towards the elevator if you wanted to.
Nice work, Agaricus.
I don't want to shoot the thing, and I really understand it.
I'm also concerned about the hands that look like humans. Which it maybe was at some point.
I mean, I might have been human once too.
Different times we've heard about the things that are attacky that Demeter Corp worked on. We heard it from Lucky and we heard it from Sewell, so that might be one of those things.
So what we'll say
your
is
approach.
You managed to free a path to the shaft, this elevator shaft. And I'll say that, like, again, just because it's climbing, I don't want to do rolls for climbing. Like, you all probably have enough gear on you that you can climb down this lift. And eventually you find a blockage to where it doesn't look like you can go any further, because much like the outside where you saw what you thought was like a mountain ridge, but instead is like this hardened but somewhat, still somewhat porous, like fungal growth, essentially blocks any more descent. You do see, though, that a couple levels down, and this aligns, Ryko, with some of the schematics you have, that there is something called a splicing chamber on this level, and you can see the doors from the elevator shaft that have been ripped open violently by something in the past. Definitely open up onto that level, and like further descent down here seems to be blocked by this massive fungal growth. When you peek down the hall down to this splicing chamber, you can see that there's a ton of like structural collapse that's basically making any kind of movement down this pathway very, very difficult. Like, you'd have to like squeeze and move some stuff around. But down here, you hear the sounds of like, it sounds like barking. It sounds like there's like, and it's like this very low, almost like tenor or bass like sound that just seems to echo in the direction, but somewhere out on that level somewhere. So that's what you guys have in front of you. You've made a lot of great progress, and you've avoided like any outright fights. Does anybody want to take the spotlight here?
So there was still, you said, this big fungal growth stopping forward progression.
So yeah, just like the outside, like the elevator shaft going down just seems to be completely compacted with it. You don't know how deep it goes, but as you land on it, it doesn't give. Like, it's just this huge chunk that seems to be compacting.
Like a physical barrier.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it couldn't be dealt with. I'm not saying it's impossible to get through it. It just would be, you could certainly try.
This thing's looking like a nail, and I got some fire in the shape of a hammer. So
hell yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone go ahead, stand very far back. And I'm just gonna burn through it.
Okay.
Super fast, super hot.
-2 on this for different reasons, for a tag that it has, basically. Or a tag and a status it has. So give yourself -2 on it.
Okay.
And then put your pool together.
Oh, I'm clicking in the wrong spot. I was going to prompt you. Hang on.
While Chuck is doing that, I just have to say, to share with everyone, in the Foundry module, when you burn a tag, you literally get a sound effect of fire.
Oh, there's sound effects?
So cool.
Burn a tag.
I didn't notice that. That's cool.
So cool.
I know there's like the little burn symbol. I like that.
I like the symbol. I've seen the symbol. I've never heard the sound. That's awesome.
Yeah. You
It's
go
really
into the
coming along.
expanded version. Yeah.
Yeah, the folks that are working on it are really doing a good job. Okay.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's an 11. Fantastic roll. So it looks like you've got 2 power to play with. Now, Chuck, you also could, if you wanted to. You don't have to do this. If you wanted to, you could take an optional consequence to get a 3rd power to spend. So you can either spend 2 with no consequence or 3 with a consequence. It's up to you.
If I were to completely remove this obstacle in front of us, how much power would that eat?
I would say that I would want to tag and you would essentially spend 2 power to create a tag that just says that gives the environmental tag shaft cleared, something like that, and that means it's cleared.
Okay. I'm not going to give you that pleasure, Jeff. I apologize.
Okay.
I will just use my 2 power to clear that shaft.
Okay. All right. So you clear the shaft and you don't take the really cool consequence I had in mind. But no, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
And so as you all kind of step off and find places to stand, as like Ivan's just hurling like this bit of fire down, and you see like he is essentially digging through it. Now it's sending up fumes, and this shaft is starting to water your eyes, and you can tell that it's releasing chemicals, but you noticed it fast enough that you all can quickly cover your mouths or step away from it. Otherwise, all of you would have effectively been inhaling with sorts of spores. So that would have been the consequence. But in doing so, that it does allow you to essentially bypass and go down, because now you guys are up to. Because I'm treating that as like putting that towards, like basically spending your power to sort of put towards this. Oh, hang on, wait a second. How's that work?
I spent it on a tag.
Yeah, you spend on the attack, so it actually doesn't increase the traverse, but it does allow for you all to descend this way. So if you want, we can descend a little bit further. It doesn't necessarily increase the traverse limit, but it still gives you all like a secondary path down. Rika, according to your schematics, you think there is some sort of like reactor coolant chamber or something below, because you know that like there's what's called a mycelial reactor that they were experimenting with. They're trying to use like fungal spores as an energy source, and that they were creating apparently some kind of coolant protectant, and you think that might be sort of the next level below that whole area, and so you can descend down there, or you can try to traverse this sort of structurally collapsed hallway in the splicing chamber. Those are essentially the 2 paths forward, just as Ivan has given you a second path. And it doesn't sound like that barking has gotten any particularly closer. You do still hear the sounds of maniacal laughter far up above, but nothing seems to have closed in on you yet. Nothing really seems to have noticed you. Which way would you guys want to go?
So Agaricus, you're wanting us to go towards the mycelial thing?
Yes, I don't really know exactly how it works, but I know if I can get there, I can get the grandfather to interface with it, which should hopefully help with things and stuff, and...
I think we should find the cryo chamber first. We don't know if Lucky's still alive or not. But he's in
step
trouble.
1, get lucky. Step 2, go to the place for Agaricus.
Yeah.
So
I'm generally a fan of getting lucky.
The 2.5, try to find something we can make some money off of in here.
And don't forget, Clover actually does have a secondary gig available, as he did pick up a possible task with Synaptical. So if there's maybe some like data you might be able to glean from some of the data cores down here, it's another task.
Right,
you guys have multiple tasks.
Thank you for reminding me.
I'm sure if Shitface Joe was here, he would be able to tell you about this. Tiny little leg hating Shitface Joe. If he was here, he would be able to tell you. He's a good dude. I don't know why I'm doing this stuff.
Remind me to never miss a session.
That's right.
I mean, we'll tell you about it, and you can listen and join in on the fun. It's not a laughing at; it's a laughing with.
Okay,
Ivan, I think you were saying something about.
I was just going to suggest if we're doing things in a certain order. I mean, because Agaricus, we're not bringing anything back from yours, right?
No, I think it's very much the hope that maybe grandfather can integrate and clear some things out, make it easier to then reach Germangunda.
I don't know what that entails, just like you don't know what that entails, but just it feels like the kind of thing we might want to run away from. like after it happens. So maybe it should be the last thing we do.
That's a good point. Apparently, it's the reason things are so terrible is because of what Demeter Core did to it.
We should definitely have plans to run away from
True,
you
but
setting it up.
if we don't deal with it, then things will stay the same. But I feel like we should try. But I can appreciate.
Absolutely should, but at the end.
That's
So
reasonable.
cryo chambers next. Was that? Did I hear that right?
So no, you're going down to the reactor level. So basically going down to, there's a reactor down here, there's like coolant areas, you could potentially get down here. So like we'll say moving the scene along, Ivan just opened up this path forward. So you all can kind of continue your climb down. When you kind of again reach what looks like the bottom of this lift where everything like this shaft where everything kind of starts to pinch off a bit, where it looks like you can't quite make it any further down. You do see that there are these huge like tears and rifts in the side of the shaft that don't even seem like they're intentionally there. And when you look at where the doors open, it's completely compacted with that same kind of like red fungal growth that just kind of makes it looks like there's a wall of brick there. But you do see these tears in the shaft that kind of creates this secondary path out. And as you start to, crawl through it and try to find your way forward, you do see like this, like you're almost like crawling through like this pocket of fungus, like the six of you. But you manage to like kind of just sort of like plop out in the middle of this ruined hall. And you can see that there's these repair drones that anyone who knows anything about like reactor work would know that a lot of like repairs are done by drones simply because of the temperatures inside are just so extreme. But you can see that there's this whole array of broken drones that have been lined up in this peculiarly perfect order. Like you can see all of the parts are like collated, and you can see they're all kind of organized in a particular way as if someone did this intentionally. You can see that there's some kind of bioreactor pipe sticking out of one of the walls that is sort of spraying down some kind of mist. And for the first time in a while, like you definitely see like a couple working panels. And so that you can see there's some systems that are up here and there. You look through like a frosted window into like some kind of, antilab, like that kind of connects to this sort of reactor chamber where someone probably used to work to monitor the systems. You can kind of see inside there as well. And again, flickering lights, suggesting like there's some lingering bit of power here and there. Who would like to sort of pick up here at this point? And you can definitely tell that there's a couple different concerns. Someone's down here or something has been down here. There's this mist that's being sent out into the hall. And then there's the flickering the flickering power, and you have to kind of get your way inside. So who wants to kind of go next here?
I have an immediate concern.
Yeah.
I would like to investigate this mist.
Okay.
Really, there's just one thing that I'm real concerned about. Is it flammable?
Yeah. Sure. Give me a quick check. This isn't necessarily towards the limit here, but this is more just like a recall knowledge. So just do like attract extras.
Sure.
And whatever you want to add to it.
While he's doing that, real quick, when you mentioned the drones, are the drones disassembled? So the drones are not.
Yes, they seem to be in pieces. Like, and they're they're like meticulously organized here and there.
Okay, so I want to make sure.
I didn't do great.
That's a success. The 7 is the success. You can spend your power to effectively learn one piece of information, and you wanted to know if they're flammable. Yeah, it is. The consequence, Ivan, is that you have saturated part of your clothing in flammable mist. So just put like flammable saturation on you as a status. So you got a little too close. You didn't realize like some of it was on you, but it's very much flammable. Okay.
Well, I could try and see if I can find a panel to like route some better power to the lighting
I like it.
and make
So you could-
it stop flashing.
You can break down that window easily enough. It's frosted and cracked already, and you can like hop down inside of that little like overseer's room and see if you get into kind of some of the monitoring consoles. It's old, they're grimy. You can see it's overgrown with, but like the different bits of like earth and sort of pieces of fragments of like fungal spores and such. As you get down there and you start trying to interact with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, put together a pool. The system has a security of -1, and so you just go ahead and have that on you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to use my electronics bracer console that I've got on me. Use intrusion specialist. I don't know. I know there's security, but I'm not sure if like I need to find a back door or not in order to
You can
get
use
through
it's
it.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
and
fine.
then masquerade is real user.
Okay, so that's 4 -1, so I think it's a total of +3. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, give it a roll.
And is this a quick?
Everything. I think let's just do tracked outcomes in this case.
Okay.
Actually, no, because you're trying to. If you're trying to affect the delve, then yeah, you need to do tracked because you got to be able to spend power and everything on it.
Yeah, that way we can see through it. Yeah. Okay. So, oh shoot, I did an attack. Dang it. Oh, yeah, that's the best. Snake eyes.
Oh, snake eyes.
Okay,
This is gonna be fun.
so Mallory, you begin
I'm the best
connecting.
hacker.
You kind of plug in
best.
your whatever. If you have any physical equipment that you're kind of plugging into various ports, or even if you're just, even if you're just kind of attaching like your kicker console, whatever it might be, you start coming through it. Like there's a few shorts here and there, and it looks like at some point like you almost set the whole damn thing on fire. But as you're working, you feel like a voice behind you, and you just hear like, "What are you doing?" And you like look over your shoulder, and you don't see anyone. You see your people, your friends. Stop that.
Oh,
What are you doing? Stop that. And all of a sudden, you just, everyone who's looking at Mallory, you just see him kind of do this, kind of like this whiplash moment where his head just flips back and he starts staring straight up at the sky. And anyone looking at his eyes, you can see his eyes are just sort of shifting and moving. Like there's little data running over top of them, like they are themselves some kind of output device. Mallory, you find yourself in some strange sub pocket of a domain that has been kind of built and recessed within some sort of network, within another network, some heavily firewalled area.
nice.
And you just are looking at a silhouette of a human being. And it's not like you can't see a person, you can't see a face, but you see a silhouette. And everything around you and it seems to be blurred. It's like the idea of like a zoomed, blurred background. Like you can't make out exactly where you are. But you see this figure is looking at you. State your identity.
Shit, if I mess up this bad. Name's Mallory. I'm just trying to help. Like, I just want to help. Like, I want to help. There's somebody trapped down here, and I want to help. What's going on down here? I know there's a lot happening.
And so on the outside, while that's going on inside of your head or wherever the hell you are, the rest of you see, like, again, Mallory's head whips back. You see his eyes are kind of doing that strange thing. You shake him, try to wake him, yell at him, can't do anything. But then you suddenly hear like a coming down the hall. And you see on the opposite side of where all those drones were kind of laid out, you see like, it almost looks like it's some kind of cleaning device. Like it's like this massive, like chunky, like Zamboni in the middle of this hall that is just moving with this huge drone. And you can see like on top of it, like there is this growth pattern that is just like an elephant trunk that's just weaving around, coming out of one of the ports. And you can see as it levels like this sort of trunk in your direction, it starts firing these pods. And as they explode nearby, you just see as they explode, bits of like pollen and dust start to expand. As this is descending upon you, why Mallory is literally in a different planet, different world right now. Who would like to do anything as this thing is closing in on you?
You have something?
I'll try to put something together to deal with that.
Otherwise, I'll try to freeze it into not working.
All right.
Go for it.
And then
So
you can
you go for
back me up. Okay, you can back me
can
up
try
if it
and
doesn't
assist
work.
if you've got an idea. I'm always for you doing your thing, and I'll try and assist.
I was going to try Chill of the Grave, access to occult tomes, and forbidden cult. So I'm trying to kind of take all of the cold of the death that's in this area and like focus it on this thing and just see if I can just like super chill it so that it just freezes in place and can't do what it's trying to do.
And I'd like to assist by using my magical backpack to pull out like a very high-powered fan to blow the pollen back to give us more time to let her do that.
Okay. In this case, we'll just say the quick support as you just pull it out and you just hear like Ariana like, here you go, sweetie. Everything okay up there? She hands you this little fan.
It's very scary here, Ariana. I can't wait to tell you about it. Also, I met God and I might have part of it in me.
I always knew you were going places. I forgot her voice. Okay.
That's
Veronica,
lovely.
give yourself a +1 to this roll, but also there will be a -1 in terms of its defenses. So it's gonna that he'll basically mitigate any
plus
penalty
0.
when
Okay.
done. Yeah. So that was perfect. It takes away the sort of defensive penalty it has. Okay.
Okay. And I've got so 3 that I'm okay.
All right.
Come on,
Give it a
roll better. Roll better.
There you
roll
go.
better.
Yes, there we go.
5
Okay,
and 4
so that's
is 12.
That is
Nice.
a 12. Okay, so Verana, you've got 3 power to spend to try to hinder or defeat this thing. You also, if you wanted, could take a consequence to get a 4th power to spend. I'm just stating the rules.
You always tempt me with the offers.
I just want everyone to know their options.
Yeah. I will take 2 of them to put a status of frozen in place on.
Okay, excellent. I like it.
This thing. So then I've got another power.
2 more. You got one more to spend, unless you wanted to take a consequence, and then you would have 2 more power to spend. That's how that works. Math.
So, like, I could do like a frozen in place 4. Like
well, you said a status. A status is just like it's frozen in place.
It is just it's just 2.
Yeah, I'm fine with just making that like that. Or I'm sorry. Let me do that again. Did you want to make a status that is frozen in place, which means it could potentially like it'll have a big penalty, but it also could potentially like whittle that down? Or do you want it to just be like frozen in place? That's just the story tag. Like, how do you want to apply it here?
Oh, I was preferring story tag that it is frozen in place. If that's okay.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with it.
And then okay, so then the other one, can I apply this towards our can I use the other one at all to I'm trying to think if I can do anything about what's happening to Mallory with my other one, and possibly not because I was directing all this towards this thing.
You were targeting this thing with this spell, yeah.
Okay.
You could just harm it. You could also just give it like a harm 1, so it's frozen.
I'll
and
do
took a
that.
little damage.
So like in the process of kind of freezing it, it sort of got smushed. Okay.
You see it as like this bit of crystallized ice begins to overtake it. It looks like it's about to fire off another one of those pods, and then it freezes for a second, and you just see like the trunk just suddenly become this bulbous blockage. And then it manages to sort of shake it off, but in doing so, the pod kind of falls limply to the ground. And so it doesn't get its shot off since you didn't take any consequences. It is still, you see, functioning. And it's like you can hear it like almost like a copier going through some inner mechanism, like And all of a sudden you see like something begin to load up once more in the trunk, because it can shoot this thing. So you see the trunk is kind of loading itself up once more. What do you guys want to do?
So Jeff, I have a question. I've been trying to decay my one of my tags, and the way to do that is to go against the thing of fight big enemies to big things. One decay came from me like not engaging with that big red thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Would
Yeah.
I get a similar decay by not engaging with this?
I would say if you wanted to describe Rika as like taking cover and hiding,
Yeah.
then I think that makes perfect sense, right? Like it's just like you're not
Yeah.
fighting it. Like if you just like race off like into the same room Mallory is and just sort of duck and hide, I think that would be fun.
Okay.
Okay. I would say no roll necessary. Give yourself like cover 2, like as you're like you now have cover, so in case it does fire at you guys. It does mean it is gonna fire though. That's the thing. It's gonna fire off in the direction since you ran from it as opposed to address the threat.
Yeah.
It will get a shot off. So I'm gonna say Agaricus, Verana, Rika, and Ivan. All of you give me a mitigation roll. As this thing is going to explode, and so all of you can do it. And so anyone who wants to do a mitigation is fine. And Rika, that cover, you can add to your roll.
Okay. Can I add a weakness to my mitigation or no?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I wonder if I might add obviously armed as a weakness to basically say that this thing is looking for weapons and I very clearly have weapons. I don't know if that comes into play.
I mean, it's not really looking for weapons. It's just attacking you.
Okay.
I don't think you've seen any particular intelligence with it just yet. So do you have any other weaknesses you want to try for instead?
No, just that. Or maybe easily damaged.
Maybe, I'm sorry, say it again. I didn't catch it.
Easily damaged because I'm like diving behind cover.
I like
and
it.
like
I like it. Yeah.
Okay. So protective armor and tough as nails are the 2 positives that I was hoping to use.
Go for it. Yeah. All right. It looks like Ivan got a 9, so you succeeded with 1. Okay.
I got an 8 total.
8 total. Okay. So I'm gonna go down by what I see in the roll results. So start with Ivan. Ivan, you have 1 power to spend. So you would be getting what's effectively called poisoned. You can buy that down to from poison 2 to poison 1. We'll get in a second. Don't worry about it, my trade.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I forgot a thing. Sorry.
So Chuck, do you want to just spend your point to mitigate down to a lower status?
I'm muted, but yes, I would.
Okay.
Please.
So give yourself poison 1.
Yeah.
Agaricus, you got a 10. Excellent. So you have, and then you have 3 power. So you can buy the power. You can buy the poison thing all the way down. You're good. You're clean.
Okay.
Verana, let's see. So hang on 1 second, because you got what's it called? You got a partial success, right? I always forget. I always do this wrong. Looking this back up. 1 sec.
Yeah, 8 is a partial.
So mitigation. So okay, so when you roll 7 to 9, you can spend power to mitigate effects, which is what Ivan did. 10 plus, you can spend power plus 1. So Agaricus is you're fine. All right, so then Verana, we were doing it right. We're good. So Ivan's got poison 1. Verana, you're good. You have 3 power, so you're set. I think you spent 3 power, you're good to go. So Agaricus and Verana, you both don't take any poison. And then Rika, what are you at?
I thought I was at 8, but I forgot the cover plus 2, so I'm at 10.
Okay, so since you're at 10, how much power did you generate?
That is 2, is it not?
It was basically the bonus to your roll. What was the bonus to your roll?
It's I'm sorry, 3 then.
Okay, so Agaricus, Verana, and Rika, you all managed to either because of your positioning. Rika ducking down in the room with Mallory for cover. Agaricus, maybe it's just your natural affinity for spores not affecting you as much. But Ivan, you get a little bit of it, and you feel yourself get poisoned, and so you start kind of coughing as something gets lodged like in your track, and it's just sort of like every time you try to breathe, it burns a little bit on the inside, but not like a fire burn, like an acidic burn. Okay. All right, and so this thing is still getting ready to go. Now, Mallory, meanwhile, you hear this voice, this silhouetted voice is saying to you, you have been in contact with the subroutine.
Which one?
You can see like the silhouette kind of tilts its head. The one that calls itself Grain Father.
Oh, yeah.
Are you an agent of the Grain Father?
Not really. Like, I just want to do what's right.
You carry one of its offspring in your party.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. I'm here to find my friend Lucky. Like, he was down here. I don't know why he was here. He's sent me a message. Said he was going somewhere to hide. I want to get him out.
The head tilts left and right. If you wish to free Lucky, your friend, they are in cryo chamber L7.
No. Okay, cool.
You must destroy the kernel of the subroutine. And you can see like their heads like constantly tilting back and forth in this sort of like weird, completely like jagged way.
You're with Demeter.
I am, and you can tell like the eye, like just the letter I seems to be struggling. Theta 7. Theta 7.
All right, abort.
Query, abort what?
So, hey, like, I'm trying to do the right thing. And, like, as far as I can tell, all they're doing is, like, trying to grow food and take care of their own. Is that not the case? Are they doing something bad and evil?
Grainfather is anomalous subroutine.
Of, like, Demeter-owned servers?
You can see like the head again tilts. You can see it's confused, kind of moving back and forth. Grainfather is anomalous subroutine.
Right. Okay.
Grainfather was subroutine.
So he used to be a part of you.
Yes.
Okay.
And like the head's tilting back and forth again. It's the only thing that's moving. The rest of the body is just like completely static. The head's just whipping back and forth. This is all happening while this battle's going out.
Yeah.
And all.
Hey, do you have a prime
you
directive?
have no knowledge of it.
Oh, sorry.
Prime directive.
Yeah.
To secure the safety of facility personnel.
Okay. All right.
Grainfather's subroutine has bypassed this directive. Grainfather harms facility personnel.
Oh, that's not good. All right. Is there any way that I can talk to facility personnel? I mean, I understand that, like, we got some danger with us. But if, like, he were to stay behind, like, can I talk to him?
Lab, cryo chamber, L7. And then starts rattling off serial numbers. You can see, like, this, like, rapid fire of serial numbers.
Okay. I can't promise I'm going to help, but I want to do the right thing. Okay. And I know we humans were weird, but
you must promise.
All I can promise is that I'll do the right thing.
error. And you can see it's very confused. I will shut down your cognitive processing. Cannot risk that you will not comply. And you suddenly feel like your brain feels like it's on fire all of a sudden. And you just feel like something is pulling at every memory, every thought, like every computational process in your head that you can possibly have. It just feels like someone's like literally erasing your brain. We'll come to that in a moment.
Okay.
Back in the hall,
gosh.
as there's stuff that's firing and shooting. This thing is frozen in place, but it is still just launching these volleys across down the hall, throwing some of them into the wall, throwing some of them kind of into the room where Mallory is, where Rika is taking cover. Ivan, you feel the acidic burn in your throat. This thing is still functioning, still up. What do you guys want to do?
Oh dear.
I'm covered in fire juice, so it'll take me a moment to figure out what to do.
Can I grab Mal and run in the opposite direction?
Mal's currently connected. You can see he's got his console kicker. He's got like old school stuff, and he's actually connected to this console. So you would be pulling him out. You'd be ejecting him from his connection without any knowledge of what that might entail.
Don't unplug the USB before asking permission to unplug the USB.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna keep trying to wake Mal up. Is anything different happening visually?
No, his eyes just keep kind of going and going. Okay. I will say, like, you do notice, like, his temperature has, like, he's emitting almost like a heavily feverish heat as you kind of stand next to him. Like, you can kind of feel heat emanating off of him.
Holy shit. Okay. I don't think having like a coolant or like a way to cool my exoskeleton suit is super out there. I wonder if I can just put like a piece of cold metal on something.
What do you want to put on him?
Just trying to lower my temperature with
basically
metal.
with cold metal.
Okay. Sure. Give me a roll here. Like, this is gonna be a roll to try to help him. There is a -3 status that's currently on him right now. So put in as your consequence for the snake eyes. Give yourself like brain fire. I don't know, call it whatever you want. It's essentially what it is. It's melting your brain.
Yeah.
And then Rika, that'll be a negative against your roll, and then put together whatever bonuses that you want to have against it.
I feel like I only have the exoskeleton suit. Like, I don't think anything else would come into play.
Okay, so
would
that's a
she
minus.
be able to grab the accelerated regen gel that I have in my bag? Or that something that could help with this?
Okay.
Or don't you have like the chill of the whatever the fuck? Like,
she just cast that. Yeah, she just cast something as an attack.
Yeah,
sorry,
I had put that toward the machine thing. Yes, I do.
No, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't do it again. It's just.
No, I forgot that was on my Zoom miss. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll just roll with the one tag. That is us. -3 is.
So 4. Okay.
I don't do shit.
So basically, I'm going to say what happens to you as you place the as you try to place whatever kind of cool metal is on his head. Since you're using metal, it almost feels like an electrical current is shot through it, and you feel this like you were just like sticking your finger or like a screwdriver or like a fork into an open electrical socket or something like that, as you feel this sudden spark. And so you're going to take electrocuted 2, as you are literally electrocuted from trying to use this metal to cool down his head, as if he is channeling some kind of like electrical current that just came out and struck you. So as you get thrown off from him, slamming against the ground, Mallory is his head steaming, his eyes still looking like they're like a TV screen. Vrana, Agaricus, you're facing off against this this some sort of drone with a weird spore-like elephant trunk on it. Ivan, you're there, but you're also kind of coughing a little bit, and you're covered in flammable liquid or fumes. What are the three of you? I'm going to throw it to one of you three. Like, what is one of you three? There's this thing is about to launch another one. So does anyone want to deal with that?
Sure.
Go for it.
I think my thing would be like kind of, slide some vines along the floor to kind of like go a little bit beyond, like past it, behind it even. And then you basically send the vines out behind it, start doing some floral overgrowth, have them sprout some stuff up behind, have them spit out pheromones that will like try to trigger rage or antagonism to try and hopefully turn its attention towards those, something that it's antagonistic to. And while it starts to turn towards those, use Ariana's coordinated attack to have her like come up out of the backpack and do that tiny little Derringer thing that just shoots a little energy.
Pew pew.
That's hilarious. Okay, you're gonna get frozen in place in your favor. So that's going to be a +1 from Verana's tag. It's also already harmed. So you're going to get, so it's got a status of -1, and you're trying to effectively harm it or redirect it. So that's going to come to. So you're getting basically 2 from its negative status and its tag. Yeah, so you're getting +2 from what Verana did before.
That's going to be a lot.
Awesome.
Right, so tracked attack?
Yes. Oh boy, that's a good roll too.
That's
Holy
a lot.
15.
That's a 15 with 6
Holy
power
shit.
to play with.
Wow.
Okay. So are you just like,
shit.
do you just want to destroy this thing? Because with 6 power,
I would like to destroy it. If there's points left over that could be applied to something else, great. But if not, that's the main objective.
Okay. I can tell you this: if you spend 4 of your 6 on just harming it, no, I'm actually not even 4. It would be 3 because she already has harmed 1. If you because it's got a hurt or subdue limit of 4, and it's already got basically a hurt of 1. If you spend, no, I'm sorry, it is 4. I was wrong. I'm doing it wrong again. If you just spend 4 to give it harm 4, you just basically destroy it, and you would still have 2 power left over to do with as you please.
Okay.
How do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. No, you first. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, like, if you want to just describe how you destroy it, because I know you had an idea for how it was going to work out, but it works out better than you ever could have expected it. So if you wanted to describe, like,
so it's
how
already
you
like
destroy
partially
them.
frozen. I think the idea is like you get it to twist against its own nature, and it's already partially frozen. It does that thing where it kind of shoots at the wrong angle. It kind of blows itself up in an awkward way. But maybe in doing that, so we destroy it, but the additional 2 points could maybe go towards like it creates this like fog of war effect where it exploding detonates all the other stuff it had inside of it that was doing that. So then maybe we have something to kind of buy us a little bit of time to make it easier to go to the next step.
Oh, okay. You want to put us on the traverse thing? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, by making it blow up in a way, we make it blow up some of its reserves, and like buy us a little extra time to get to the next step.
Okay, so I think that we probably won't say this affects the traverse, but what I'll say is that 2 power, like that tag that you just created as like defensive fog of war, someone could add that to their next roll when they're trying to push further down. Does that make sense? Yeah,
Absolutely,
let's do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
So like a fog.
Nice.
Okay. And as that explodes and wrenches apart, and then this fog of both like smoke, but also debris, and then spores erupting from whatever was formulating those pods. You look over and you can see like Rika and Mallory are having a bit of a time. Mallory's head is still snapped back, like uncomfortably so. You can see their skin is becoming redder and redder, like literally beginning to sort of almost start to part from insides. Anyone who's really close, you start to see like blistering is beginning to show on his face. Rika, meanwhile, is like got thrown back. You can see like her hand has some electrical burns on it, and this sort of like shaking her head as the shock of it, as this is still happening. All of you see Mallory's in very serious trouble.
Verana
what do you guys
would like to run over.
Okay.
So Verana's got accelerated regen gel, medical training, some forbidden cult knowledge stuff. Like she wants to see what she can do Like she doesn't know the tech stuff as well, but she knows medical stuff to try to see what she can do to help Mallory.
Okay, yeah, go for it. You are going to have a -3 working against you because of the injury that basically what he's undergoing right now. But if you want to try, I would say there's probably two things you could do. There's one or two things that could essentially happen here. You could either just try to heal him a bit, which might bring his temperature down, which might keep some of the blistering from happening, or you could try a more noise tech-based approach and try to disconnect him from whatever the hell's happening. Those seem to be the two best courses of action. Your course of action is probably just a stall until someone disconnects him.
Yeah. And that's probably Verona would sort of look to Ivan and just say, like, I'm not so good with the tech stuff. You're good with the tech stuff. I can try to get him cooled down a little bit until you can do your gremlin stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I feel confident about that.
Focus on the medical. So I've got accelerated regen gel, medical training, and then I'm going to say forbidden cult. Those three would then offset the -3, and so then it's basically a straight.
Okay, so we can treat this like a setup action then, where like you're trying to keep Mallory in a physically safe state to allow for Ivan to do, and so like this could potentially help with what he's doing. So, yeah, go ahead and do that roll, Verona.
Okay. So am I applying the -3 to my +3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's physically being harmed by this.
Yeah.
Still
7.
got it. Okay. No, it's a success. Successful
Yeah,
consequence.
I saw the 1, and so I was like, oh no, one of the dice was a 1. All right, 7.
Okay, so it looks like you had a net of 0, right? Like there was no extra power.
So I have the minimum 1 power.
You have the
because
minimum.
It was a net of 0. Yep.
Okay. So what you could potentially do is lower his temp, kind of do the thing that Reik was trying to do, and essentially buy down the -3 to a -2, if you wanted to try that.
That is what I would like to do.
Okay. So you can see
I've done the best I can. I can only do so much. This is some powerful stuff.
And so Mallory is still kind of in this weird interstitial state here, kind of stuck, connected to the whatever it is he is sort of plugged into. His body still looking like it's blistering, but Verona's keeping that at bay. It does seem like at some point someone needs to do something to disconnect him from what's going on. So Ivan, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Fireball. Okay.
Fireball.
Can I support?
No, like left.
I think so.
My essence is cyborg, which is self and noise. So I'm wondering if that comes into play.
So Ivan, let's just see. So Ivan, what's your strategy here? Like what are you attempting to accomplish? And then we can see what Rika might have that could help in this situation.
Okay.
So my initial point of strategy is just getting left to try and help me. He is a tech gremlin. Hopefully he can steer me out of this. So yes, first thing I'm going to leverage is tech gremlin. Next thing, have a soft side showing actual concern and true motivation to try and help out Mallory. The one that I feel weakest on is evade surveillance. It's not surveillance, but maybe if there's something actively like watching his psyche, trying to keep him from getting out.
I would say because he's being, you don't fully understand what's happening to him.
Yeah.
But Chuck does, because he's being actively affected by another power. I would actually be okay with it because you're doing this without them noticing that you're doing it. So that's cool. That's 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I have one other idea that you seem to have forgotten. And I think Adam's feelings are going to be hurt. The two of you have a character tag together. Element Bros.
We do.
Remember?
You're Element Bros.
Yeah. So that will come into play here. I would think this is your boy.
Yes.
Okay. So that's 4 positive, but then the 2 negative because of the brain fire.
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay. So does that math?
It's a net of +2. It's a net of +2. Yep. All right. Let's see.
I'm getting ready.
And if you fail, If you roll snake eyes, Mallory's head explodes. I'm just gonna say.
Okay.
I'm not saying he can't keep playing Mallory. I'm just saying his head explodes.
Come up! Oh God!
I don't know. I mean,
You
if I
already
need to roll a
set
new
the
character, I
stakes.
need to roll a new character.
No take backs.
I mean,
oh God!
All right.
It's
check
part
out
of the
the
game.
good draw I got. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's a decent roll. It's a decent roll.
It's all right. Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
it's
all
very
right.
nice.
12.
I don't think- I don't think that number is correct because you should have a net of +2. So I think it's a 9. Because you had 4
Yeah, 'cause-
positive and 2 negative, right? That's how. That's how I
It's
counted
currently
it.
showing 5 positive.
Yeah, so
Oh.
I think it's a 9. It's still a
I
success.
did math
It's
bad.
It's all
Yeah.
good. Like it's still good. It's still a success. You still have 2 power to spend, and that 2 power you can spend to buy down the last 2 status points
That's
of brain fire.
exactly. That's everything right there.
Okay, and Mallory, as you're in this vision, you can starting to feel like your head is starting to like it's sweltering, and like you're like it's pulling all of your memory, all of your knowledge, everything. It's just sort of being ripped free, and then all of a sudden you hear, "Hey, what's up? Yo, this way," and like it's just a third voice, and you look down, and you can see there is left suddenly in this vision with you, and he's like looking up at you. Come on, this way.
Hey,
What the hell's wrong with you?
Lots. Okay, yeah, let's go, dude.
Okay, and so he like reaches up, grabs your arm as best he could, and then the two of you just start like running off into one of those weird kind of foggy backdrops until you just through it, and you hear the voice of Theta 7 like calling out, like saying, basically warning you essentially about Grainfather. But then as Left pulls you through this strange, like frosted film, your eyes go back to normal, your head snaps up. You can feel your skin is all kind of ripped to sort of shreds. So give yourself the tag right now. Like you can call it like scorch marks or something like that. It's not a status. It's just a tag. It's not like it's just the physical change that happened from it. But you're back. You look around. You don't see that silhouette. You can see Ivan is like standing there. Verana, Rika, they're all kind of standing over you, and they're like waiting to see if you're okay. Agaricus is out in the hall, like admiring the absolutely high level of demolition that happened at the end of the hall. Mallory, what do you say when you pop up?
I don't know if we can trust a grandfather.
Glad to see you're back. My goodness, we were worried.
Me too. Yeah. Good to know.
Why?
So grandfather's a subroutine of this whole thing that's controlling this facility.
So you're saying that the corporation doesn't trust the subroutine that went against the corporation?
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah. But I mean, now look around at Agaricus isn't in the room, right?
He's out in the hall. So
Yeah.
I would say if you want him to not be, that's fine. It's just fine. You're talking to Ariana. Yeah. It's
Did you see that? What a great shot, Ariana.
It's amazing. Look at this. I was having tea, and I'm so glad you called. Oh, goodness.
You're an amazing shot. You've been practicing, haven't you?
I really have. I've been blowing up my teacups. It's great.
Go ahead, Mallory.
Yeah, so like they've been really weird with that bread and making sure we eat it and stuff. And he burnt it out of you, and he was like, "Hey, you're not enriched. What's going on?" And like, so I don't know. It's kind of weird, like not trusty type people, and so I don't really trust Demeter either. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. I'd say a grain of salt, but like, I don't know.
The corporation.
Salt isn't really good for plants.
I would say if the corporation doesn't trust this subroutine that helps people make food and have green grass and have an oasis in the Badlands, I think the subroutine is doing good things that fits your background, right? It's what the
Yep.
eco-terrorists want against the corporations.
Yep, it does, and that's why this is weird. But hey, I'm gonna try and do what's right. So, like, I think we should talk to Yorm and Gander, and see what they think, and then we can have like all of the perspectives and try and decide what to do. So.
Glad you're feeling better. We were really worried.
Oh, I'm not feeling better.
Very bad.
Yeah, it hurts a lot. So, fuck. Oh, damn it. So like, hey, Ivan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you're catching weird vibes, like shit from that village, right? Like, it's not just me.
I mean, it was definitely creepy.
Yeah.
There was definitely something going on there, but I don't know. In the end,
It doesn't even matter.
yes. I was just say in the end, they aren't hurting anyone. They seem to be helping people, and they're minding their business.
Yeah, like they do seem like the good guys, but I've had a lot of people that are like trying to do stuff for the environment, and then they have their own means. They have their own like not means agenda. Yeah, that's the word. That's a good word. So like, I just don't know. Like, everything on the surface is like, yeah, Demeter's bad.
They are a corp.
Yeah. So,
I mean, and if you're this twisted up about it, at the end of the day, we can always just do exactly what we came here for and then let this region figure itself out. Yeah. Just rescue Lucky and hightail it if the choices get too big.
Oh, yeah. Crowd Chamber 7. That's where we need to go. And there are some corporate people apparently alive in those cryo chambers. So maybe we could like talk to them.
Maybe get a reward for rescuing them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could do that. I was just like trying to figure out like what to do. Cause like, I don't know, man, that thing got in my head. It made a pretty convincing argument.
Usually when something crawls inside your head, they're really good at making convincing arguments.
Yeah.
But it did force its way into your head first. So there's that.
Oh, I force my way into it all the time. Like, into their systems. So turnabout's fair play, right?
Healthy way of looking at it.
So to the cryo chamber?
Yeah.
But
okay.
You got to always control and never be controlled. So I won't forget that either. It's a lot to weigh out.
All right. So we'll say that while Garricus is outside and you start looking around that, you have a moment to really see. You see down this sort of interconnecting hall, like another path forward. Rika, if you sort of take a look at your schematics, like you think you're going in the right direction. You guys push a little further, and eventually you come to this larger open chamber where you can find in the middle there is a hole in the ground, a hole in the floor that seems like 20 or so feet across. It looks like something has ruptured up and out, as it looks like a lot of the sort of the residue around the edge of the pit is like sticking upwards. But when you peek down it, you can definitely see, when you're shining a light, this kind of cross section of other levels, as this does. It's certainly not supposed to be here, but there's this giant pit, and there's like a cross section of these other levels. And Rika, when you cross-reference it with the schematics that you got from Sabled Rust, you can start counting down, and you're pretty sure that this large pit will eventually take you down to exactly where you want to go. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to end it there, and we're going to pick up on that next week, and hopefully with Joe as well. That's it.
Very nice, very nice.
Where did the last 2 hours go exactly?
Very quickly.
I don't know. I was reading Reddit most of the time, so I don't know.
Fair. Yeah.
You guys start talking. I just look at Reddit. It's like, oh, look at that. Follow the NFL free agency. Okay, so yeah, there we go. You guys have been doing awesome. So just so we know, for next time, you guys have up to Traverse 3, and you have Agaricus's Fog of Defense. So whoever tries to make like the next advancement roll to try to push down further into where you need to go is going to have an extra bonus to that, because you have some extra time that the Fog of Defense has allowed. So let's not forget that when we play next time. All right.
Nice.
So you guys are pretty close. You're right. You're almost done. You're almost done. You're almost at the very bottom. You've got through this without a whole lot of trouble. You only just Mallory's brain almost just got melted. That's all.
Brain schmain.
Which
do you really need a brain?
A possibility.
No.
I was told from Wizard of Oz that it's not necessary.
Yeah, and hackers are a dime a dozen, so
It's true.
get a replacement.
All right, let's do some closer plugs, and we'll get on out of here. So, Adam, I'm gonna toss it over to you first. What is going on with Cannon Otter?
Well, as of today, apparently we are done with the Monster Boyfriend catalog section of Skin City, and that means that Skin City is done being written. So that means that we can are getting it over to layout, editing, and dev editing done by Bert, and then hopefully we'll have more to report on that. But in the meantime, you can always check out Teenage Odyssey, relive the 90s, or if you weren't alive, experience them for the first time in your imagination. And then, if you buy a book, maybe Chuck will get a chicken nugget.
Just one, not like an order of them.
Well, margins,
like,
you know.
Is it like a really big chicken nugget, or is it just like one normal size chicken nugget?
Well, we're waiting until we sell 20 books, and that'd be enough to buy a pack.
I can get
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like, we give one to all the play testers and writers, and yeah.
Oh, I have to
Sounds
share
like you
my
guys got
chicken
this.
nuggets. I didn't sign up for this.
All right. Chuck, what else you got going on with Defenders of Cobalt?
On Defenders on Wednesday, we're going to be doing Savage Rifts. On Friday, we should be back to our Shadowrun game. Not Shadowrun, Cyberpunk. Wrong Cyberpunk game. We'll be back to our Cyberpunk game on Friday. And then on Saturday, I believe we'll be back to Joe's Salvage Union campaign.
Fantastic. Awesome. And my Trey, where can we find you on the grand old internet?
I am my third place games on YouTube, where I make system agnostic or multi-system tabletop content that centers the GM and player experience that you should check out if you feel like checking that kind of thing out.
Cool. And links to everyone's stuff are always in the description. So if you're listening to this or watching this later, just check the description and you'll find links to everyone's stuff. As for us, first things first, let's talk about a little bit about Huckleberry. If you like some Western action, horror, and cinematic style, check out huckleberryrpg.com. Our friend Steven has been working very diligently. I say the diligent thing sarcastically, but he has been working on it. So you should definitely check out huckleberryrpg.com. You can see us playing a couple months ago as well if you want to check out our YouTube channel. And a big update coming later this month, supposedly. That's what I've been told. And so you should check it out or look it up on DriveThruRPG and drop a review and all that kind of good stuff too. Let's see. Stream-wise, I think we're off tomorrow as we've got a couple players missing. So I think we're off on Perils and Princes tomorrow. I don't think we're putting anything up in replacement of it. So I think we're off. So then I guess that means the next time you'll see us is on Thursday. You can see the top row playing through some Swords of the Serpentine with a few other folks as well. Friday, we are back to Magnus Archives. And so I get to sit completely still with sunglasses on for the whole session. I could take a nap. It's great. I could just take a nap because I put sunglasses on for my character. It's the smartest thing I've ever done.
No one would know.
No one would know. And
Just
since he's not
read it again.
that's probably what I would do. It's probably what I do. If I could just somehow get a non-reflective, it's great. It was the best decision I've ever made. And then Saturday, we're also off actually, because we're missing a few folks this week. So Thursday and Friday this week, but no Tuesday or Saturday. Or maybe we'll just, I don't know. We'll see. But that's where we're at. We're going to raid Death Dreams Live. I think they're playing some Pathfinder, it looks like. So follow that raid. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.